this right here. This is what I want to talk about. You had two different reactions from the Lightfall gameplay reveal. You had one reaction being very hyped. We got to see gameplay of Strand. And then you had the other reaction that got completely stuck on one thing and one thing only, and that is reskinned weapons. Now, the question shouldn't be, are these actually reskinned weapons or not? They are, in fact, reskinned weapons. Look at them, fellas. They're the moon weapons, but with some more bling. Bungie is a professional at this. It's almost as bad as Skyrim being constantly remarketed to us year after year after year, like a remastered version, and then like a remaster master. Todd, you sold us Skyrim like 20 different times. Can we get a new Elder Scrolls game? But I do want to bring up the question because this did turn people off to the point where there were actually folks saying that they canceled their pre-orders for Lightfall because these weapons in this gameplay reveal were essentially the moon weapons. Fellas, I'm going to take today's video to educate you on the world of Destiny and reskins. And of course, I want to ask the question, are reskins bad for Destiny's health? Now, for my folks that think that reskins are a new thing or that it's only something here in Destiny 2, no. Reskins have been a thing since the very beginning, since Destiny 1. And from D1 to now, reskins have existed in the game since its creation, which means they're not going away. Reskinning weapons, perks, animations, this is a core element of Bungie's workflow. And let's just be realistic here. There is no other game that exists that can push out the amount of new weapons per season that Destiny does without having some form of reskinning. Now, why does reskinning even have to exist? I actually stated on a podcast, the Destiny Down Under podcast 3 months ago, Chris Proctor actually brought up while talking about his previous work at 343. He explained some of the similarities and differences between the Destiny 2 engine and the Halo Infinite engine. Now, every weapon in Halo is custom. The animations, the weapon data, all the weapons have a unique design. Destiny does not do that though. In order to push out 30 plus weapons per season, their engine is hyper optimized to take existing base weapon data and then tweak that information to create a new weapon. Now, exotics are the weapons that satisfy the urge to design a unique weapon, where most, if not all, the attributes of the gun are custom. Most exotics have their own weapon design. Granted, this past season, we have the Velis X Pulse Rifle, which is the ritual weapon for the season. By the way, we've got an entire build on that thing. It's much better than what people are giving it credit for. But yes, its gun model is extremely similar to that of Revision 0. But of course, Revision 0 is still modified. If you even look at things like Chaos Dogma back inside of Destiny 1, and then of course, Talak, you can argue the same exact thing here, guys. You could say, oh my God, reskin? But dude, do you know how many gun models have actually been reskinned in Destiny? Just looking at this scout rifle alone, you've got Cocytus, Chaos Dogma, Talak, and inside of Destiny 2, we continue with that. Eternal Blazon, a number of blues with the same exact gun model. You know what these weapons have pretty much in common with each other? They're Amalon based, hence the weapon model. The same thing applies to different foundries like Vice, Funnel Web, Recluse, Prolonged Engagement, which we still have to review, or even the Vice scout rifles like Jarakaraka, Black Scorpion, Contingency Plan. Hell, back inside of D1, you remember the Pulse rifles that all look the same? The Suros PDX 45, the Suros PDX 41, Hawksaw, and then inside of Destiny 2, Cadenza 43, Last Perdition, Syncopation, Swift Ride, hell, Swift Ride XE8375, which was essentially just the same exact thing, but a different color. Requiem, GN7, Yesteryear. You get where I'm coming with this, guys? If you haven't realized it by now, reskins are just a part of Bungie's foundation. But keep in mind, reskin weapons have not replaced or lessened the output of legendary weapons over the years. Matter of fact, they've gone up. The question we have to ask ourselves is, do we want a massive cut in the amount of weapons we receive each season in exchange for a few more completely new weapons? Like, imagine if instead of us getting 40 weapons in Season of the Seraph, we only got 20 weapons. But you can look at it and say, oh my God, these 20 weapons are completely brand new. Keep in mind, a good portion of that 40 is completely brand new weapons. So it's not like every weapon we get is a reissued or reskinned weapon. It's new gun models mixed with old gun models. And for those that are saying, Cross, why can't we just get 40 plus brand new weapons with new gun models? Understand, that's just not possible. To design new weapons from the ground up takes multiple teams because it's got to go through many flows. It's not just got to go through the weapon designer, but it's got to go through sandbox, audio, FX, etc. It's almost like creating a new exotic, except you're creating several new weapon types at the same time, if the goal is to make them seasonal or expansion weapons. When making reskin weapons, it takes considerably less time and resources. And believe me, guys, we have plenty of very, very good reskin weapons that we've loved using for this past year. Can you imagine us saying, oh, we can't get Funnel Web because it's a reskin weapon, or the Amit AR2, or even Exalted Truth? All of these are reskin gun models. But to completely halt the creation of these weapons just because they fall under the category of reskin, in my opinion, that would suck. Now, going back to the Lightfall weapons that we saw in the Game Awards trailer, I want to bring up that I don't believe these are going to be the feature weapons of the expansion. Just look at the weapons we received for this season. We got both the Ikelos weapons, which are reissued, and an entirely new set of seasonal offerings as well. And I also like to make an argument that the seasonal weapons have been getting more and more unique as time goes on. Just look at Season the Plunder. By no means was it our favorite season, but you can't argue that these weapons aren't super unique. The gun model for the SMG even moves when you shoot it. The worst case scenario is that these may be the seasonal weapons we get next season, but I don't believe these are going to be the expansion weapons. And I think Bungie showcased these guns off right here because they're trying to play everything else closer to their chest. They wanted the focus to be on the abilities with a splash of that Neomuna ornament style or whatever it is they're doing for these weapons. Now, if you look back at the promotional material for the original Lightfall trailer, it was very obvious that the weapons featured here are not the same ones in the Game Awards trailer. We will be getting multiple sets of weapons in the next expansion. And hell, guys, look no further than the pre-order weapon, Quicksilver Storm. Look how unique this thing is. Completely designed with that nanite technology that we're probably going to learn about, especially when we start diving into Cloud Striders. And I can also guarantee that there are other weapons we haven't even seen yet that Bungie probably won't reveal until right before the release of Lightfall. The questions that I want to answer: have we seen an increase in more weapons being released on a year-to-year basis? This is, of course, for legendaries. And yes, we have. Shadowkeep had 96 legendaries. Beyond Light had 145. It's a 51% increase over Shadowkeep. And Witch Queen, we had 181. Now, I know everyone always compares this to Forsaken, but remember, Forsaken did have 152, but there were so many of those weapons that Bungie was reintroducing to us with just random rolls for the first time. Plus, the year that Forsaken came was just a crazy year. Keep in mind, though, Bungie surpassed that number with Witch Queen, so we're on the right trajectory here, which makes me think Lightfall is going to have even more than that. I like variety, and even though some weapon models are being used over and over, I think the unique factor should be tied more to our exotics versus our legendaries. And legendaries, for me, it just comes down to whatever the role is, and a couple of other like subjective things. And I know someone's going to bring up Dead Man's Tale, considering Dead Man's Tale and the Long Arm both have the same gun model, but keep in mind, guys, they're both text mechanical weapons. And again, if it isn't clear by now, the reskins fall under the Foundries. And on top of that, Dead Man's Tale was out way before Long Arm came out. And I don't think anyone's really complaining about the gun model for Long Arm. I personally like it. Why wouldn't I want to see that same gun model, but in legendary form? Overall, guys, I think we have a huge appetite season to season to see weapons and even armor, but especially weapons. And if half of those have to be reskins, for me personally, guys, it doesn't bother me. Again, the trajectory is good. We're getting more and more weapons season to season, year over year totals. But whether it was a gun model or even a pre-existing Destiny 1 exotic, you should know by now that it's probably going to make its way back inside of Destiny 2. But considering how many exotics we've gotten that have been redesigned, not necessarily in its gun model, but in its perk pools, whether it's Outbreak Perfected, No Time to Explain, Thorn, Hawkmoon, the list goes on, guys. So many exotics that have been brought to us in Destiny 2 from Destiny 1. We have these rose-tinted glasses when looking back on D1 that I feel like we need to go back and play D1 for like a stream or two. So many of the weapons in Destiny 2, so many of the exotics that were reissued to us completely stomped the piss out of the exotic versions inside of Destiny 1. And with the introduction of craftable weapons, origin traits, you think for 1 second I would hold my nose up at a reissue Hawksaw? Hell no! I'd take that baby in a heartbeat. So guys, that is my thoughts on all of these comments surrounding reissued or reskin weapons. I know this goes a little bit deeper in terms of like areas. A lot of people brought this up with the most recent exotic quests. They were like, oh my god, the space station is the same as the space station, the Deepstone Crypt. If you look at the lore, guys, they were literally all designed and made the same, like literally identical for a reason. That's how they were designed. There are some more egregious examples out there, but for weapons specifically, redesign, reissued, or reskin legendaries in Destiny, considering how many legendaries we get on a season to season and year over year basis, to me, it's completely fine. As long as the reskin weapons are matching that of new weapon models that we're getting, as in like a 1-to-1, I think it's completely acceptable. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.